If you're like me, you were never taught how to recognize or deal with your fears unless they escalated into illness. Our education system is focused on teaching reading, writing, math, science, and although health education standards do exist for primary and secondary schools, they generally focus on physical health things like diet and exercise. Even when emotional health is part of the curriculum, it usually tackles things like self-esteem and conflict. Although there are a few progressive exceptions out there, it's definitely not the norm. Personally, I didn't even really start to think about fear beyond just feeling it until my 30s when I became fascinated by it. I started researching fear because I was raised to be fearful all the time. I was never taught how to properly express dark emotions, and as an adult found that living in a state of constant fear with no way to positively express them was ruining my life and my happiness. I knew there had to be a better way, and so I went looking for it, and we'll be sharing what I found with you here. There are many different tools presented here because we're all both uniquely different just as much as we are the same. The set of fear tools that will work for you will be just as unique as you are, so try them all out and see which ones are the best fit for you. During my research, I would constantly come across the mantras of fight the fear and conquer your fears and become fearless, which as a biologist I knew were ridiculous slogans because unless you have severe brain damage to, say, your amygdala, it is biologically impossible for you to be fearless. Telling someone to be fearless is about as helpful as telling someone who's dieting to just be hungerless. Thanks for nothing. So we move out of childhood pretty much unprepared to deal with the fear-saturated culture we all live in as adults and can easily be swept away by a tidal wave of fear messaging that we receive every day. Now, I am not talking about real, in-your-face, actual threats to your survival in this course. No amount of reframing is going to allow you to fall 200 feet unscathed. I'm also not talking about those fears that are born out of phobias and mental health challenges. The fears that I'm talking about in this course are the ones that may be rooted in some form of reality, but mostly live in a future that may not ever exist. In order to better adapt our ancient fear responses for modern life, we need to get curious about where these fears are coming from, and then get creative about how we can reframe them to better suit our modern lives. And finally, get committed to practicing this reframing so it becomes second nature. Our fears live in the future, and the future is not some inevitable destination that we have no control over. We are the active authors of our story, so let's work together to write a better one.